The other day on TikTok, I saw a video with a very interesting comment section. It was a compilation of K-pop high notes, and a lot of people were insisting that this isn't a high note. I mean, I would definitely consider those notes very high, but I guess this illustrates a problem with a lot of pop music fans. A lot of people seem to think that a note is only high if you're really pushing yourself to the limit. Singers who know how to produce healthy, comfortable high notes consistently might get overlooked. This reminds me of like when I was a kid in the 2010s. I saw this like news report on TV, and it was comparing Sarah Geronimo to other singers, and the report was like, Sarah Geronimo isn't a biritera, she can't sing high notes like others, but she's still a good singer. And I was like, what? Are we listening to the same person? I'm definitely not saying that BINI Colet is on the same level as Sarah Geronimo. However, I do get reminded of her in the sense that a lot of people, even fans, don't realize how incredibly skilled she is because she makes it all sound so easy. Even her fans sometimes make the mistake of saying that she may not be a biritera, she may not sing high notes. Well, she has a deep voice, but she's still a good singer. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, singing is more than just about high notes, that's true. However, Colette is more than capable of singing high notes. She just makes it sound so easy, and she has really good technique all around. I really hope that this video helps a lot of people understand Colette's voice better, and also help a lot of people appreciate how insanely skilled she is as a vocalist. She is genuinely one of the best vocalists in the new generation of Filipino pop singers. To be honest, she is probably the best female vocalist among P-pop idols right now. I hope this video helps you see that.
I put you on top, I claimed you so proud and openly, baby. When times were rough, I made sure I held you close to me.
No matter how hard I try, I never seem to get you off my mind. I'm begging now, come put your head on my back. Yeah, it's in your head. What we gonna do?
My name is Jessica, and I've been singing my whole life. I've been singing professionally since I was 8, and I started giving voice lessons when I was 14 because my voice teacher had like an overflow of students. So he started passing some of his students on to me. And then I took a little bit of a break while I had kids. And so just like within this last year, I've been getting back into it, take on students again. But I've always been like voice obsessed and always doing more research and trying to understand as deeply as I possibly can.
My name is Julian Salcedo. I've been singing for quite a while. I've been singing since I was 3 years old, and I started off learning a lot of SLS techniques like chest voice, head voice. So that's usually how I think, but then I discovered some CVT techniques, which have maybe discovered like rough vocals, things like distortion, grit to the voice that I wasn't able to do before pain-free, but I love that I can do that now. I've always wanted to teach people what I've learned throughout the years, so I work as a vocal coach, helping people get their voice even better.
What's your level of like familiarity with like Filipino singers?
I'm not very familiar with Filipino singers.
I'm not too familiar. I've had some Filipino friends, you know, but they usually grew up here as well, so they really only know American music. So I'm not too familiar with their singing or singers from the area.
We're gonna look at like some clips of Colet Vergara from BINI, and she was born in September 2001, and so she's currently 23. She's from a very popular girl group, BINI, in the Philippines, so we called them Nation's Girl Group.
I've never heard of Colette before. I've never heard her sing, so this is gonna be all new.
Feels like someone I'm with you. Parang Islang Pantropiko. Can't wait to go back with you. Sa Islang Pantropiko.
All right, so right off the bat, her voice is very resonant. She's got good use of her jaw and mouth shape. So she has these big open vowels that really resonate inside of her mouth and project really nice.
Oh my gosh, her voice is so smooth. Oh my gosh. You would like assume that, you know, she's in the studio, she's got like a mixer that, you know, she's picking out all of the best parts of herself, but no, she's like really just killing it live. And like, I first heard her and she came out like really strong, and I was definitely like impressed with her strong voice. And then she went really low and I was like, okay. And then she went really high and I was like, oh my gosh, this girl really like, she spends her time practicing, you know, that this doesn't come easy. Like she really puts in the work. I know that she's like naturally talented. Clearly she's naturally talented, but like you don't get that kind of quality in your sound without like being really on top of your practicing. So she really puts in the work.
What I noticed about that clip is there were a lot of register changes. There wasn't like a pop. There was like a nice flow, and it's almost seamless. So that shows a really nice vocal control on her part.
Like you hear those jumps in the song. She's like, she's going high, she's jumping low, she's doing all kinds of different things, and she's just like making it sound easy. She's making it sound like, oh, that jumping that high in that note was just easy, but it's not. Like it takes a lot of practice to do something like that.
She's very relaxed. She's singing these really high notes, and you can see that she's not tense. Her body, like she's like swinging around her legs. She's really relaxed, which allows the notes to come out really relaxed, really powerful. She makes it sound really easy, but those are some really high notes.
She was like distracted too. She's like thinking about other things. She's kind of like looking off at somebody in the audience or something, and she's just like hitting every note, no problem.
You know, it's not bad at all. It's still really great. Her tone is really nice. But you can hear, especially on the lowest note, you can hear that like all the timbre in her voice kind of disappears, and it gets really, really airy, and it's like it's almost gone. In those cases, you know, I don't know if one of her goals for her specifically is to increase her lower range, because obviously her characteristic is singing really high. But if she did want to, I would recommend singing in what CVT calls overdrive in the low register. So it adds a lot more metal, a lot more body to the note, and it gives it more power. And there, it seems like she's singing in a more just kind of speaking voice, but low down. So the overtones aren't quite there, so the voice kind of disappears.
Pero di na hinungdan para muundang tanan butang permina ay rason tanan sad pwede rasulbaron.
She did go a little bit off on the low note, and that's just like, you know, that's part of singing live. It's okay. But yeah, a lot of times we're hearing her sing like a lot louder. And this is one of the few times that I've actually heard her like bring it down and bring it quiet. I don't know what language it is. You tell
Bisaya.
me.
Bisaya.
Bisaya?
Bisaya.
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 Yeah. That's good.
Bisaya is so beautiful. I don't understand anything that she's saying, but it sounds gorgeous.
Love is an open door. Love is an open door. With you. Everyone I'll ever love is here within his walls. I'm sorry, secret siren, but I'm knocking at your calls. I had my adventure. I just need something new. I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown.
Wow. I'm really impressed by the power in her voice.
Yeah.
You know, something, a topic that's mentioned in CVT is something called metal, which is a vocal quality that makes your voice a lot brighter, and it's a different coordination in your vocal cords. And so she had a really nice use of that metal to get those really high notes. Yeah, so the vocal quality there was great. Really nice, high, powerful notes. I couldn't see her, but you can hear from the way that the note is sounding that her voice is her mouth is really wide open, allowing that sound to come out with all the power, all the projection. And, you know, on not quite singing, but like a little more acting side, you can feel all the emotion and the theatrical part in her singing, which is really cool.
Yeah. She has a really powerful voice. She's making it sound easy, but all of the singers out there like know that it's really hard to hit that note with power. Like a lot of the times you're just like going a little bit falsetto, no, or you're like hitting it in the nasals, no. But she is really able to like, so what's happening is when you're using your chest voice, you're targeting like the bottom part of your pharynx. Like you're targeting the resonance in this part right here.
Yeah.
Right. So when you hit it like falsetto, you're kind of using the whole thing very lightly. And then when you're using like that nasal, you're just putting pressure on your nasal area so that it sounds more powerful because there's more like resistance. But there's a big difference between doing that and what she just did. So like what she just did was definitely using the bottom part of her pharynx, and that like, oh, it just sounds easy, just start using the bottom part of your pharynx, no problem. But no, that's like, you have to, your pharynx isn't a muscle, so you have to build up the supporting muscles around your pharynx to be able to hit those notes and to be able to resonate on the bottom part of your pharynx. So, I mean, just like with any athlete, like she's working on it all the time. It's not like riding a bike. It's not a skill that, oh, you'll just never forget. No, once you stop using those muscles, like you start losing those muscles. So you know, she's going to the gym every day. You know what I mean? She's really working it.
Hindi po siya sanay masyado sa parang workout po. Nabigla siguro yung katawan niya. Tsaka siguro nalipasan din po ng gutom.
We decided na magaling mo nang tumuloy for the bootcamp. Basta please rest, ha? Alagaan mo yung sarili mo. Okay?
Ganito po yung nangyari po. Hindi pa ako titigilan hanggat hindi po nare-reach yung mga dreams ko. Thank you, Star. Sobrang mahihain ako. Hindi ako kumakanta na ako lang mag-isa. Mga times na pagod na sa training. As in,
I remember si Colet was singing something Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa, yes. Yes.
The vocal coach, what she was saying is like parang, how in her age she can perform like same level of Dua Lipa.
Yes.
She was so impressed.
And that time, Colette only had like less than 6 months of training at that time. I remember that.
To be able to improve so much in such a short amount of time is really impressive. Like, she has a lot of raw talent and a lot of good coaches, obviously, but she also has like a lot of dedication. You know, I think people like to see somebody with so much talent and they think, oh my gosh, they're so lucky. Oh, if only I had so much talent. But no, she's not lucky as much as she is a very hard worker.
Exactly.
She has been putting in the work for this. So
yeah,
kudos. Oh my gosh, that is really impressive. Like, she's singing with her chest voice, like already really high. And that takes a lot of muscle, like we talked about. Like, it takes a lot of muscle to be able to sing with her chest voice that high. And then like she can just release the muscle and sing in a different register, sing in her chest voice, or sorry. She can be singing so high in her chest voice and then just turn it off and sing in her head voice and then turn it back on, sing in her chest voice. So I don't even know what to compare that to, but it is not easy to be able to just turn it on and off like that. Once you build up to be working in one register, and it can kind of take some like easing into it to be able to change registers. But she's just like a light switch, on, off, just like nothing.
Even live, her intonation is really nice. She stays on pitch really well.
I've been cheated by you since I don't know when. So I made up my mind, it must come to an end.
Her low voice is so beautiful and pure and smooth, and it just has this timbre to it that is unlike any other singer that I've heard. And so I'm so glad that I got to hear that. For a lot of the song, she's like really smooth. And then for just these couple little parts where she does this cry, she just includes like this tiny little cry into her voice from time to time. And that really helps portray the emotion. And so to be able to switch from like doing your cry to doing more like resonant tones, you either have to be thinking really hard about it, or you just have to be so good that it just comes naturally, that you can turn it on and off, just with the feeling of the song. It's just happening so naturally, and it's really adding to the feeling of the song. There, her pulling at her ear thing, like her levels, like when you're on stage and you can't hear yourself, that is like the ultimate recipe for disaster. If you can't hear yourself really, really good on stage, then you are like disconnected from the resonance that you're giving off. And so like, I think she pulled that out of her ear just so that she could hear herself a little bit better, because the levels in her ear were probably not perfectly what she wanted. And like, if she didn't hear herself hit that note, then she might have not been able to hit exactly how she wanted to. So, and like, she really was like using the whole part of her pharynx there. She wasn't like, we just talked about like using the bottom part of your pharynx and really like belting, really getting that power. But right there, it was just showing off like the whole sound of her entire pharynx. And I love it. She's like, we sound different when we sing with the bottom part of our pharynx, with the top part of our pharynx, with our nasals, like all of these, and they call them registers. You go into a different register and you have a completely different sound. So this is your pharynx. Like, we think of the power coming from our voice box, but it's not. It's really coming from how much we can vibrate our pharynx. And so when we're singing with our bottom part of our pharynx, it sounds like one thing. And when we sing with the top part of our pharynx, it sounds like something else. And when we sing with the entire pharynx, it sounds like something completely different. So the way you can target different areas of your pharynx is going to change your entire sound. And so a lot of people, like, they like the way they sound with their upper register. They like the way they sound with their middle register. And so they kind of stick with what sounds really good. And she just has a beautiful sound throughout her entire register with everything that she does. And you can hear that she's changing the sound completely different sound, because it doesn't necessarily like have the same exact sound to it. But oh my gosh, is it beautiful? Like, no matter what she does, she's just like, just sounds beautiful. So I just like to differentiate when we're using our head voice. We can be using like, we can be using like that typical what we think of as our head voice. And then we can also use like that part of our pharynx or that part of our body to just like clench the sound, and it can make it sound more powerful. And yeah, she is making it sound easy. So you typically wouldn't even assume that that is very high, but a lot of people understand what a high C is.
Now I take the weight on me.
High C is very, very high, and a B flat is one whole step below a high C. So it's very hard to hit, and to hit it with such like beauty, that is like above and beyond what you would typically hear from, your average radio singer. So I like that part, where, she came out, you couldn't even hear her when she came out because everybody was screaming over her. And then you heard that she was like strong in her chest voice. And then she just released it, like went right into almost falsetto, but more like a nasally head voice. And then she switched right back into it, and look, the crowd is going crazy. I can almost guarantee that she can't hear herself very well because she has just been a little bit sharp a couple of times, which is surprising because we're always like really dependent on her hitting all of her notes, which she is really consistent about. I'm not trying to say anything negative about her because I know what she's capable of. I know that she knows how to hit notes. It's not out of a lack of practicing. It's probably because her voice was not turned up as much as it should, or she didn't have the right balance of audio in her ear. You know, they each have an audio in their ear, and everybody has a different mix. So when they do sound check, they are asking her like, oh, do you need yourself turned up a little bit more? Do you need the music turned down? And she's saying, oh, you know, maybe I need to hear his vocals a little bit more so that I make sure that I'm on harmony with him. And she's giving, and everybody who's doing a microphone check or sound check, they're going to give their very best. And the sound engineer, of course, is going to give their very best. And sometimes that just doesn't end up being the perfect mix in the moment. It could be for so many different reasons. If it was rushed, if the crowd is being too loud, then you're not going to get the right mix. That is a really hard situation to be in. But, you know, you look at the whole performance and it was great. But, you know, that's part of being human. She is a human, so we have to give her some grace and give her room to make mistakes sometimes and assume technical difficulties or something or another is going to affect her performances sometimes. We know, well, what I've witnessed is that when she's singing in a situation where she can hear herself perfectly, it's like, oh, chef's kiss, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Those are definitely some unpredictable harmonies that they did. They must have practiced that a lot. The power is there. It seems like this song is really reliant on her to bring the power. He has a beautiful sound to his voice too. And I think that she's still the one that's bringing the power to the song. She has a really powerful voice. And he has a really smooth voice. He has a very smooth, romantic voice, and they sound really good together. I really like them doing this duet together. I think that they make a good sound pairing. Beyonce, like in her early career, she definitely reminds me of her. So I love that she's covering Beyonce.
So she performed this like 6 times because like actually the concert was extended from just 3 days to like a whole regional tour, like all over the country, and it usually came like literally like at the very end of each concert. So yeah, she was singing, dancing live after like hours.
So she must have been exhausted by the time she got to this song. If this is the last song of the concert, she is going to be so tired by the time she gets to this song. So, you know, to end off on such a song that demands so much from you, you know that she's got it. you could tell that she wasn't really happy. She's obviously really talented. We all make little mistakes. And you know, if we're going to make mistakes, let's make them during sound check. Like that's the time to really make your mistakes. So, but you know that everybody makes these little mistakes and you can't really hold it against her. Yeah, nobody's going to be perfect. And there might be some people out there who are watching her video and going, oh, she went off on that note, or being critical of like one part or another. But nobody who can sing like she sings is going to say those kinds of things. Only people below her level are going to be saying those kinds of things because they don't understand that is just a part of life. And I think when you're so young and you're put onto a pedestal and everybody kind of thinks you're perfect, everybody expects you to be perfect, like you can be extra hard on yourself when you mess up on a note. And so the fact that she's willing to like share those imperfect pieces of herself, I think just goes to show like what a strong person she is on the inside.
Yeah.
I love that she's like trying to get the audience involved. Also, like trying to get the audience to do what she's doing. Like, yeah, you know that they can't do it, but you know, you just involve them anyways. She's a good sport. And she's so pretty.
Yeah, she really is.
I know that's not why we're not here to critique her beauty, but oh my gosh, is she so gorgeous. Anybody listening would be like, oh yeah, it's so nice that she can sing happy birthday like so pretty. But yeah, that's a lot harder of a note than you would think. Everybody else just kind of died down and we got to hear how she sounded on her own. And I'm sure that the whole group sounds good, but yeah, I love that we got the chance to like hear her vocals. Again, she's just kind of showing how powerful she can go really high. And gosh, I'm not even sure that I would want to try to duplicate that on camera. Like, it sounds easy when you watch her do it because she's just so natural at it, or she's so strong in it. But if you try to duplicate what she did at home, then you would see really quickly that it's not that easy. You know, you quickly want to just go into like a more hooty head voice where you're hitting it really soft, or like you're hitting it like an opera note. And she's really still able to hit those really high notes with that pop filling by, again, using a lot of muscle that she works on all the time to be able to get that. Your lungs are not muscles. So you have a muscle underneath your lungs that pushes your other organs out of the way to give room for your lungs. And that's why we do breathing exercises to strengthen our diaphragm. And when you're already doing such a powerful song, you know you have to have a strong diaphragm to do that. It's easy to sing a lower note in your chest voice. And the more you go up, the harder it is to support that placement. And so you need to have more muscle, you know, to hit one step higher, more muscle, one more muscle, more muscle, more muscle. And so to be able to hit that note was definitely showing off like her muscles. She's like flexing in the mirror for us. She definitely has a lot of muscle to be able to hit such a high note with that chest voice. And a lot of people, like, that's not really fun. We don't want to practice strengthening our diaphragm because that's just the least fun part of singing. But she really has worked on it, and she really is a good example of why it's so important.
I'm really impressed. Obviously, I don't understand what she was saying, but that's not necessary to feel her singing. She has a lot of emotion behind it. I'd say that she's definitely a powerhouse singer, I think is what I would call that, where she's got a lot of power, very loud, very present, instead of like other singers that sing more quietly and everything. She has a lot of that. If you hear someone straining or you see them straining, you might think like, wow, that's really impressive because they're going to their limit. I think that's what people like. But in the grand scheme of things, when people do that, it doesn't sound as good. So it's really refreshing to hear a singer that can hit really high notes and you don't hear the strain. And she is a really good singer. And if she is increasing in popularity, you know, she's going to get the exposure that I think she deserves, you know. And, you know, the singing speaks for itself. She's a really good singer.
She has a lot of talent, and she has a lot of good teachers, obviously, and she's putting in the work. She's not just like writing on her talent. She's going home every day and she's doing her exercises, she's doing her practices, and that's taken her as far as she is. You know, whatever voice you're born with is the voice that you're born with. You can't really change that. And so lucky for her, she was born with like a beautiful sounding voice. But you don't just get born with a powerful voice. You know, you have to work to get that power. You have to work to get the muscles to be able to support your pharynx, to be able to make such resonant sounds. And, you know, some of us are really lucky and we're able to make those resonant sounds in our like lower register. But when people talk about belting, you know, they're talking about getting that level of resonance on higher and higher and higher notes. And we all know that sounds like really impressive. And especially if it doesn't sound like it's a lot of work, like when people can just sing with their chest voice really high like that and just make it sound like it's easy and, you know, be distracted while you're doing it at the same time. Like that just goes to show how strong she is as a singer. And so it's a combination of, you know, she's very lucky to have been talented and blessed with such a beautiful tone in her voice. And she's putting in a lot of work and she's getting a lot of good direction. She's very young too. That's like really surprising. What is it going to be when she's 33, when she's 43, when she's 53? What are we going to be seeing out of her? I can't wait to see what happens throughout her career, you know, where she's going to be in 10 years. What makes Colet stand out as a singer is that she's really strong in everything. I'm kind of obsessed with the female lower register. Her low voice is really beautiful. She's really, really strong with that middle register, or like bringing her chest voice really high. And so that's what stands out the most. That's what makes her such a strong singer. She's strong in everything. She's hitting those, like, you know, B flat below high C like it's nothing. She's hitting like those really pretty, like opera-esque high notes, and then she's bringing her belt also really high, and I love that. And I hope to hear more of like the low stuff from her. Maayong adlaw. Am I using like the inflections right?
Well, obviously it's not gonna be perfect. Maayong adlaw.
I'm gonna do it with some confidence this time.
Okay.
Maayong adlaw.
Yay!